Hello, makers and crafters. Jack Burchell here. So, one of the things that I have realized is that I am a very slow editor when it comes to the videos that I make. Even though I wouldn't say the editing is particularly good, it is something that I tend to take a lot of time with. This means that I haven't been posting videos very fast. I have a ton of footage to edit, but I haven't actually turned that into videos and then uploaded those. So this is going to be an attempt at an unscripted, unedited episode or video that I can just post today. Coffee. Tonight I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine who mentioned something that she sort of had a revelation about the problem with my career. Now, subscribers and other people who I've known have kind of pointed this out or have noticed a contradiction in my life. I am, without bragging, I'm a fairly skilled person. I'm skilled in two-dimensional and three-dimensional art, in sculpting, in mechanics, in conceptualizing, certainly in 2D illustration, both in black and white and color. And I've put a lot of practice and effort into this. I've been working on this for roughly 30 years. Maybe longer. I can't remember everything. But I've been practicing my various crafts for a long time. On the other hand, I'm very skilled, but I'm also very poor and always have been. And this is a little bit of a contradiction. And what she pointed out that was interesting is that most people fall into two categories when it comes to skill in art. Either they grew up not wealthy necessarily, but relatively secure. They had some period of time where they were being taken care of in some way. Maybe they could live off of the help or aid of their parents, or had a trust fund, or simply made enough kind of income on the side so that they could really focus on their art. And that's how they became very skilled. They got their 10,000 hours in their various crafts without having to also spend a lot of time working sort of a normal job. So that's one potential career path. And then the other, for the people who are very poor, the way I had grown up, was people who didn't have a chance to hone that skill. They had to sacrifice the hours that would be put into art so that they could work a normal job and just sort of survive. So the first group are the people who we generally see make it when it comes to the arts. People who have put in all the time and effort, fortunately, because they had some kind of cushion, or they had some kind of support or backstop, and then they became successful in whatever degree, and they were able to have really great careers. Or you have the people who were unable to do that, and so they didn't develop those really great careers because their skill never got quite honed high enough. And I'm in a little bit of an unusual category in that I grew up poor. I certainly should have spent the hours of my life doing those sort of other jobs and potentially sacrificing the time that I would dedicate to my art, but I didn't. For whatever reason, I've made choices throughout my life which sacrificed the material goods in order to continue working on my art. Sometimes it's worked out pretty well for me. There's been periods of my life where I had kind of big gigs that came in that that paid for a lot of the things that I am able to do. And then there's a significant portion of my life where I have had less than my needs met in pretty much every category. And in most cases, I've made a choice between basic necessities, often clothes, food, going to the doctor, any of the things that people normally pay for, going to the dentist or whatever, and instead bought materials, art supplies, or maintained this studio behind me. Now, of course, I'm in a situation now where I am about to lose this studio. This is certainly the end of the road for this particular chapter of my life. I've been in the studio for just about, it will be 8 years this coming month. In fact, in just a few days, I will have been here for 8 years. And the entire time that I've been here has been a very sort of rocky up and down road. The rent has always been a bit higher than I could afford, but sometimes I would get a big job that would pay several months of rent at a time, and then I'd go through a drought where there was no significant work and I'd barely be able to pay the rent, or I'd get behind. Happens every winter for the most part. From November to March is generally a period where no real work is coming in, and I'm struggling to find enough to even just pay for gas and food and things like that. So what I'm looking to do now is to finally let go of the studio and try and find a cheaper place, because I think, and this is bringing it back to the conversation I had with my friend tonight, I think that I finally do have the portfolio to show for all this, but I don't have the success. I haven't been able to crest that rise and make it so that I could accomplish the things or be hired in the way that I would need to in order to continue to kind of build upon my past work, my past successes. So what I'm hoping is with a cheaper space and a certainly lower cost of living, lower overhead, maybe a little bit less comfortable workspace, of course, various other things, I may be able to finally start building something. I need a little bit lower platform before I can accomplish the things I want. So those were interesting thoughts. It was an interesting conversation, and my hope is maybe I can have my overhead in the next few months or something, and maybe that gives me enough money that I can start marketing the work I do to people who will actually have the money to pay me, and possibly travel to places where I can do the work that I want to do. So in a weird way, I've taken the path I wasn't supposed to in terms of class, and I've sort of hacked the system. It hasn't worked for me completely, but even though this is a big step backwards in some ways, this might actually be my access to the next step up from where I've been. So those are my thoughts on this. Let me know what you think. Kind of an interesting set of theories. Who knows? Maybe it has no legitimacy at all. Feel free to leave a like, write in the comments, subscribe if you haven't, ring the little bell if you want to be notified about future videos. I don't upload on any kind of consistent schedule, but I'm interested to hear what other people think about this. All right. Thank you very much, and keep on making.